Okay. First thing, when you want to do a calculation on areas, it's very important for you to remember the following. That there are two formulae that you can use to find the area of any triangle. So, area of a triangle is equal to half times the base times the perpendicular height. We know that. So when you get any question on area, you must remember that formula. Now, in grade 12 under geometry, there are some questions where this formula may not work. Okay? There are some questions where this formula may not work. So, you go back to your grade 11 and use this formula. Area of triangle is equal to half AB sine C. That's your sine rule. Okay? If you are going to be practicing in the next coming days, that is doing your own questions on the proportion theorem, you are going to encounter questions where they will ask you to determine the ratio of areas of triangles. These two must come into your head. Before you start answering, if you see a question on area, talking about ratio of areas, these two concepts must come into your head. Okay? Now, yes? It's the angle sign. It's the formula that you were taught last year. Half AB, it's half AB sine C. That's the angle sign. To indicate that C is an angle. Okay, you were taught that last year. Okay? Okay. You need to know that the trick that you did last year is coming back this year, and it may come even under geometry, like in this case. So when you want to do question 1.2, we have got triangle AFE. That's AFE. Okay? It's the small triangle. Let me try to indicate it. Okay. So we're talking about this triangle, AFE. Okay? Then we have triangle ABC, which is the bigger one. So the question is saying, what is the ratio of the area of triangle AFE to triangle ABC? What is their ratio? Now, for you to be able to know that, you may need to calculate the area of both triangles. Now, the challenge is, you don't know the height of those two. And it's impossible to find the heights of those two triangles. Okay? You can't find their heights. Okay? They share a common vertex. This is very important. They share a common vertex here. But these two, because AFE is so small, okay? It's very small. They share a common vertex, but they don't have the same height. Now, this is a unique case. Okay? Remember, I told that if triangles share a common vertex, then they've got the same height. That concept is not true for those two triangles. But the good thing is that they share a common angle. Do you see that? You all see that they share a common angle. And that angle is that angle. That is angle A. Okay? So for this question, I'm going to use number 2. Okay? The area rule from last year. Okay? I cannot use our base times height because I don't know what the height is. They don't share a common height. So I can't use the formula number 1. I have to use number 2. Unfortunately, yesterday we did calculation and we found that EC was equal to 12. Am I right? Yeah. And we also determined the length of AB, and it was equal to what? 25. So we found the length of AB. So we know that AB is 25 centimeters, and we now know that AC is equal to 8 plus 12, which gives us what? 20. Okay? And then we know, okay, don't talk about BC. We also know the length of AF. Okay? AF is 4 centimeters. And AE is 8. Okay? Now remember, go back to yesterday's lesson. You were sleeping there. But he's asking, 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 but he's asking. Now, how did I get 80? Okay, it's not fair. And he said, only explained everything here. Very well, I can comment myself on that. Okay, I can comment myself. I explained how to get this 80. If you are true in your heart, you can acknowledge that. Okay, so these two are lengths from triangle ABC. And these two are lengths from triangle AFE. Remember, when you are using the area rule, you need the two sides that form the angle. You remember that? You need the two sides that form the what? The angle. So to form angle A, for triangle ABC, we need the length of what? AB and the length of AC. For triangle AFE, angle A is formed by AF and AE. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to say, you see, I'm going to relate my knowledge of ratio and fractions. Okay? Because there's a connection. And I told you the other day about the connection. So here, I'm just going to use ratios. So I'll say area of triangle AFE, okay, to area of triangle ABC. Right? Then I'm going to write the formula for AFE. It will be a half. My A, which is the small one, I'm going to choose AF. I'll say times AF times AE, okay, times sine what? Sine A. I'm using the area rule. Please do me a favor, you need to pay attention. Don't forget that I'm an examiner, you never know. Maybe in the march control test, there's a question where you need to know what I'm doing now. Okay. Out of the 6 billion people in the whole world, the march control test that you have in your mind was set by me. Okay, be aware of it. So, I assessed you based on how I'm teaching you now. So do me a favor and pay attention. If you haven't seen me losing concentration suddenly, no. I'm concentrating what I'm doing. Right? Okay. So do me a favor, pay attention. Now the area of triangle ABC, it will be a half times AB times AC times sine A. Okay? Are you following that? Is it making sense? Yes, sir. Yes. All right. Then the next thing that you need to be aware is that this sine A and that sine A are the same. So if I divide both sides by sine A, these two will cancel out. Remember, I want to find the what? The ratio. This half and that half will also cancel out. Okay? Right, then what is the length of AF? It's 4. So I'll put my 4 there. Times, what is the length of AE? It's 8. Okay? And then what is the length of AB? It's 25. And the length of AC, that's 20. So here you get 32 is to 500. Then you divide both sides by a common factor of 32 and 500. And what's the highest common factor of 32 and 500? If you try 4, to divide both sides by 4, you will get 8 here. Divide by 4, there you get 125. So So the ratio is going to be 8 is to 125. Unfortunately, your textbook only writes that gives you the answer. It doesn't tell you how to get the answer. Okay. And you can see that I'm doing it without looking at the name. Right? No name, no text, nothing. Okay, let me hear. Any question? Any question? No. I'm not multiplying. I'm finding the ratio of the area of triangle AFE and triangle ABC. Okay, the ratio. Okay, for me to find that ratio, I need values of the length. Easy. I expect someone who was animal yesterday in art. The area of triangle AFE based on the area rule is given by half AF times AE sine A. The area of triangle ABC based on this area rule will be half times AB times AC times sine A. When you are trying to find ratios, I hope you are aware that you divide until you get the simplest numbers or the lowest terms. Okay? You know that. Right? So, if I put AF as 4, AE as 8, AB as 25, AC as 20, you need to be aware that because we've got a half here and a half there, a half divided by half gives you what? We have got sine A here, we have got sine A here. Sine A divided by sine A gives you what? 1. That's why the half and the half cancel. The sine A and sine A cancel out. Then you are left with AF, which is 4, AE, which is 8, AB, which is 25, AC, which is 20. You multiply those, you get to this point. Here. You need to simplify that ratio using the highest common factor. The highest common factor of 32 and 500 is a 4. Divide 32 by 4, divide 500 by 4. It will be simplified like that. Any question? Okay. All right, let's hear on. Number 2. Number 2. Right? Please make sure you pay attention carefully to what I'm about to talk about with regard to this question. If you understand it, you never have any problems with the proportion theorem. So some of the things that I'm going to talk about here, they're extremely important and they'll help you when you're doing your own practice. You won't need a tutor once you understand that. Okay? You won't need any tutor. Okay. Otherwise, you can teach the tutor. All right, let's make a roll. Okay, so this question, we have got 2 sets of lines that are parallel. 2 sets. We have got AWSR. Okay, those 2 are from the same triangle, they are parallel, the red ones. Then we have got ST and QW, the blue ones. Right, we have got 2 sets. What that means is, in this question, you have 2 triangles that you can apply the proportion theorem in. 2 triangles. Okay? So the first part of the question says, if SR is 36, determine that. But I think the question didn't start from here. There's a part which, okay. I need to go back. Right, it started from here. This way it really starts. Okay? That's it. So, point W is the midpoint of PR, which means PW and WR are what? Are equal in length. Okay? ST, those lines are parallel. Then you've got this ratio. The part which I want you to pay attention carefully is how I'm going to use that ratio. PQ over SQ is equal to 7 over 2. Because that's one of the key things that causes learners to have challenges with this topic. Okay? If you remember, on Monday, I spoke about ratios, then I introduce the constant k. Okay? And I told you that sometimes we can use k, you can use y, you can use x. I'm going to do it here. If you don't use that concept of ratio and the constant, you won't be able to do this question. Okay? You won't be able to do it. They are not that straightforward. Okay, so first thing, if I want to determine with reasons the ratio of PT over TW, okay, I need to identify the triangle first, as I told you. Okay, so I've got PT, which means this is PT, TW, that's TW. So which triangle am I going to use to calculate this ratio? It will be P what? It will be PWQ. Remember yesterday I said firstly identify the triangle, name the triangle. Alright. So first thing, you identify the triangle. Let the question itself guide you. Which question? PT over TW. We all have eyes. Go to PT, TW. Two lines that are parallel. So your reference triangle is going to be PWQ. So the first thing that I'm going to do is to say in triangle PWQ. That's the first thing that I expect from all of you here. Going forward in a match control test, when you're answering a question on proportion theorem, this is where you should start. Show me that you identified and named that triangle first, before you start writing anything else. Okay? This will help you even when you write your metric, whoever marks your work won't know you. They see your layout, the layout that you do your work, it creates an impression. And that impression can help you. I'm telling you, someone who has marked metric papers, it creates an impression. The way you lay out your work, it creates an impression for the marker, and that will have a positive impact on your work. So, I have identified my triangle. I now know that, okay, to calculate this ratio, I'm going to use triangle PWQ. Okay? The next thing now, I need to know the lengths of PQ, PW, I need PS, I need PT, I need SQ, I need TQ, and so on. Now the question is, if you look at it, we are only given this ratio here, 7 over what? Over 2. There's no other information given, except that 7 over 2. And please, make sure you are aware that this 7 over 2 is not a length, it's a ratio. Okay? It's not a length, it's a ratio. To get the original length, you have to multiply that 7 by a specific constant. You can call it k. You have to multiply the 2 by a specific constant to get the original length of SQ. That's where Monday's lesson comes in, where I spoke about that k is the constant. Okay? So, PQ is PQ, okay, is this whole length here. That's PQ. Right? Over SQ, which is the smaller one. Okay? Make sure you pay attention. So, because those two sides, that is PQ and SQ, are from the same triangle, and they are on the same side of the triangle, I'm going to introduce the constant. And this time I'm not going to use K, I'm going to use Y. So I can call this length PQ, I can call it 7Y, based on that ratio. Y is a constant that helps me to determine the original length, okay, of PQ. Since that 2 there is the denominator, it corresponds to SQ, I'm going to call the length of SQ 2Y. I'm using the same constant because the two lengths are from the same triangle and they're on the same side of the triangle. following? Then, once you get it, so I'm done with that. I'm almost done with the question. Someone might be wondering, how is he going to calculate y? You don't have to stress about how to calculate y. When you write the ratios, the y will cancel out. Okay? So, I'm going to write my ratio now based on the proportion theorem. So, I've written here in triangle PWQ, so I'm going to say, for me to get PT over TW, I'm going to say PS, in fact, let me write it starting from the other side. I'll say PT over TW, PT over TW is equal to, now I'm applying the proportion theorem which I spoke about yesterday. It's going to be equal to P, it will be PS, okay? PS over SQ. Then you write the reason. Line parallel to one side of triangle. Never forget to write the reason. When I was moving around checking your work, I saw some of you didn't write the reason. That's not how Mr. Chikonda did the example yesterday. I wrote the reason after writing the ratio. Okay? Then the next thing now is allow me now to substitute. Okay? I'm going to do it on top here because I don't want to go to the next page. So allow me to do that. Okay, now check this out. We want the ratio PT over TW, so I'm going to rewrite it. That will be PT over TW. Already I'm smiling because I know that I'm getting the answer. Okay. Then PS. What's the length of PS in terms of y? 5y. So we put what? 5y then over. What's the length of SQ in terms of y? 2y. Do you see that this y here, that y cancel? So our final answer, which is in your textbook, though I don't look at it, it's going to be 5 over 2.
Next call for blood donors down at the drama room are any grade 11s with surnames beginning A through to L, and any grade 12s that would like to donate. Please bring a pen with you.
Okay? The following. Any questions before I get on?
No.
Okay, let me move on to the next one. The next one is now PT over TR. It's now PT over TR. Okay? Now to do PT over TR means you need to identify the triangle. It might change. Okay, like in this case it will change. Because we have PT over TR. Okay? Now, and then, so if you've got PT over TR, it means you may need to change the triangle. Okay? The good thing is, I know that this is 5y, that is PS, that's 5y. Now, on this side here, I can use a different constant, like x. Okay? I can use a different constant. If you have understood everything that I'm saying by now, you should know that if I apply the proportion theorem here, based on this SQ, you see this SQ, and that TW, this I can call this length here 2x. Okay? And I can call the PT 5x. Okay? Alright? Then, is it possible for me to find the ratio of, sorry, the length of AS? Is it possible?
Yes.
Okay, how would you find it? Alright. How would you find it? AS. This is AS. It's AS. I'm saying, can you determine AS in terms of Y? So that's the question. Okay, if you look at AS, okay, we have got this parallel line AW and SR. Okay? So, and also if you look at the length of PW, it's gonna be 7 what? 7x. You see that? It's gonna be 7x, which means this length in terms of ratio, we can introduce a third letter, but I don't want to introduce that because that will make things more complicated. Okay? So if I want to get PT over TR, I may need to use triangle PSR. Okay? I may need to use that triangle. Right? But you also need to be aware that the use of triangle PSR can be done in conjunction with what? With PQR. Okay? Also with PQW. Now, the other thing which is very important that you need to be aware of is this. Point W is the what? Midpoint. What that means is the length of WR is the same as PW, so I can call this one 7 what? 7x. Yeah.
So can you just assume the fact
Do you see this? It's not an assumption.
no, but the fact is it's is.
Okay. When you are answering questions of this type with ratios, no lengths, you need to introduce the concept of the constant. You get what I'm saying? You have to introduce the concept of the constant to make it easier for you to solve the problem. Without that constant x or y or k, it will be extremely complex for you to do these problems. I want you to be aware of that, so that when you sit down at home, you want to do a question, if you forget that you might need to introduce a constant in the question, you will get stuck forever and you say geometry is so hard. Okay? So, why did I say WR is 7x? It's because PW is equal to WR based on this. There are no perpendicular lines there. There are no perpendicular lines. There are no perpendicular lines. Okay, are you following that? So we have 7x there. Now, that will make the question very interesting. So PT over TR. You want PT over what? TR. Which means it's going to be very easy for me to guess that. Okay? It's going to be very easy. Right? But you need to now to state what you are doing. So this point here, I'm going to write it down. So I'll say PW is equal to WR. Why? Because W is the midpoint of what? Of PR. Okay, because you have to give reasons. It says determine with what? With reasons. So allow me to move on to the next page. So I said this is 5x, that's 2x, that's 7x. Okay? Now let me open a new page. So where I'm gonna start is to say this is 2.1.2. It's 2.1.2. So I'll say PW is equal to WR. PW is equal to WR. What's the reason? Because W is a midpoint. It's a midpoint of PR. That's my reason. Okay? That's my reason there. Therefore, now when you are doing these questions here, you need to label your diagram. Right? That's why in your match control test, I'm going to give you a separate answer booklet for the geometry and the tree, where I'll put a diagram so that you can add these values like this. Okay? Alright? When you write your maths paper 2, they provide you with a special answer book with diagrams inside. Those diagrams are for you to write things that you want.
So sometimes the lines they are very limited. Yeah, they're very small. Like when you want to extend your answer.
I'm mainly talking about the diagrams. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
You have to try your best to squeeze your answer in. Okay, so here we are going to say PT over TR. Check here. If this question was in a test, I need to show the examiner that I called my PT 5x, my TW 2x, my WR what? 7x. You have to write it down on the diagram to make things easier for the what? For the marker or the examiner. So my PT is 5x. Right? Do you see that? Do you all see that?
Yes.
PT is 5x. My TR is going to be 2x plus 7x, which is what? 9x. So I'll just go on to say PT over TR is equal to 5x over 9x, which means the answer will be 5 over 9.
What is?
Okay? I hope you are following.
It doesn't get all the details, right?
It doesn't. Once you understand this, I can tell you that when you see these questions, you have confidence, you know what to do. Okay. Okay, so from here, we're done with these two. Let's move on to the next page. Now, the next page, we need to determine PA over SQ. PA over SQ. Okay? Now, it's very important for you to be aware that we called SQ 2y, right? And we had PS, that was 5y. Remember that, eh? Okay? Now, PA, okay, your PA, now I want you to be aware that if I choose triangle PSR, okay, that's the best that I can use. I can find the length of PA using the ratios on this side. Do you see them? Okay, I'm going to rephrase this. For me to find the PA over SQ, I have to determine the length of PA in terms of Y. Okay? PA in terms of Y. So I need to use triangle PSR together with my proportion theorem to find the length of PA in terms of Y, or to find the ratio. The good thing is WR is equivalent to PW, so PA is also equal to A what? AS. Do you agree with me on that? Huh?
So you collect the parallel lines.
Look here. I hope you are aware that if you are told that PW is equal to WR, if these two lines are parallel, it means that PA is going to be equal to AS.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
That's the midpoint theory.
Oh.
Okay. Midpoint. But in actual fact, here, in actual fact, it would be more like what is called the converse, but you can put midpoint theory in there. So we'll say in triangle PSR, okay, we are told that PW, first we have proved that already. So I'm going to say AP is equal to AS. My reason for this, I can put midpoint theory. Okay? I can put midpoint theory. okay, or even the converse too. So once I have got that, means I can now apply my proportion theorem, which means I can say AP over AS will be equal to PT, sorry, PW rather, PW over SWR. And this one here, I'm going to call it proportion theorem. So it will be line parallel to one side of triangle. So my AP over AS will be equal to 7x over 7x, which is equal to 1. Therefore, in terms of y, AP will be equal to 5 over 2y. It's 5 over 2y because I just have to divide this 5y by 2. Because we said PS is 5y and PA is equal to AS. Therefore, PA is going to be 5y over 2. Okay? Okay? Now, once I do that, then I can say, therefore, let me write that nicely. Therefore, PA over S cube will be equal to 5 over 2y over 2y. Because S cube is equal to what? To 2y. The challenge here is finding the length of PA in terms of y. That's why we have to go via the root of the midpoint theorem, and I also used the what? The proportion theorem to prove to you that AP over AS is going to be equal to 1, which means AP is equal to AS. Now, to simplify this, the y and the y will cancel out. So you end up having 5 over 2 divided by 2, which will give you 5 over 2 times 1 over 2, and you get 5 over 4. Okay.